Hey everybody, it's Robert Dunt from ArtTop10.com, and I'm here today with Alexander Hinks at this rather wonderful reflection exhibition at the Cello Factory. Alex, so tell me, how did this sort of reflective, luminous, sort of crazy show come about?
Well, I guess sort of light is integral to all artists, and it's such a broad subject matter. So yet again, I guess you start off with a couple artists in mind, and then over a few weeks, did my research and sort of looked into the possibilities, and it's worked out. So a very vibrant mixed exhibition.
Yeah, nice. Actually, I like the idea because you could say sort of Monet and all that lot were all about light, weren't they? So this is almost like a sort of contemporary take on light.
When I was writing the statement, I was sort of thinking about how through the ages people with light it's integral, but nowadays with sort of the technology and materials we have at our disposal, anything's possible. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually really cool. I really like that idea. Now, where should we roam first?
Start by the front door. It's a work by Andrea V. Wright. Let's have a look.
Nice. Let's go for it. Right. Yeah. So this is the first piece. Alex, tell me. Yeah.
So Andrea V. Wright's piece it's Nocturnal Night 1 and Nocturnal Night 2. I know for the start of the exhibition, I've worked to be quite atmospheric, to have sort of this dark sort of corridor, sort of hallway foyer, and I approached Andrea. She was looking at previously she's used neons, but here these are actual LEDs.
Oh, right. LEDs. Are they sort of bendable LEDs?
They are bendable. So she was literally here for hours, sort of tweaking the latex and the light across these structures to create this sort of moment.
That's intriguing. So it's latex. It's not actually cloth. It's actually
it's latex, plastic sort of material, and then also as she's using LEDs, it allows her to have this material against it without it being setting fire or sort of.
Which is a bonus.
It is a bonus, yes.
So is it meant to have some sort of mournful funeral shroud vibe to it, or?
I guess sort of a lot of her work with these draped fabrics is very sort of organic. But I guess here, setting the light against the curves and reflections, you're having there this sort of dark drapery and sort of shadows.
Yeah, intriguing. It takes you in quite a sort of atmospheric start, as it were.
The latex has this it can illuminate and
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And then shall we now?
Next,
show. So who's this one by?
This is actually by me, but 10 years or so ago.
Yeah, so 10 years ago, which is quite different.
Yeah.
And you purposely haven't lit
it. So the raking lights, as you walk past it, the piece changes. And so here it's a use of different thicknesses of primer, gold spray paint, airbrushed fluorescent paints. There's a touch of blue here. And it's sort of a cityscape that's been inverted with then these shooting beams coming out from it. And so you can imagine here buildings and roads, and then that's inverted, and
So is it using some of the same techniques you use now?
There's definitely a connection.
Although the techniques are, as I know, trade secret.
But it was quite funny. So when one of the artists came in to drop off their works, they didn't recognise it as being one of my works at all.
That's quite nice.
But I put there's definitely some connections within it.
Oh, I can see the connections in it. It's interesting to see an earlier one of yours and how they've progressed from there. Very cool, very cool. Let's move on.
And then next up we have Chevelle Coley's the title of the piece is We've Lost Dancing, which actually is a dance music track, and so she would have actually painted this listening to that song.
Oh wow, nice one. Let's get a good shot of that piece so we can see it, because it's cool.
Ultraviolet lights, ultraviolet paints and fluorescent paints. And then we've set up here 4 UV light bulbs, so it really does sing. And it's quite interesting. It's like an abstract expressionist piece, which I think we first of all discussed, her just showing one, and then she made these 4. And so it's this interesting connection about whether they're one piece or separate pieces. And this gestural flows create a connection between all of them and make them work as a 4-piece painting. But then also there's other areas that don't link. And adds to the mystery of the piece.
Yeah, and then actually also then you got the light in between as well, which is quite intriguing.
Sort of seeing it sort of light up, and
Yeah.
it's like range of tone.
Yeah, the ultraviolet is really good fun actually. It's kind of got a crazy sort of fluorescent neon madness to it. Actually, there's quite a lot of different textures in it as well, like smaller sort of scratchy elements which make it fun.
Definitely has oil rollers, sort of dripping, sort of flicking.
Yeah, it's really cool actually. I like the way you come through the sort of weird darkness with the shroud.
Yep.
Yours unlit, and then this has got a mad ultraviolet.
It's a very bold piece.
Very bold piece. Very cool. Very cool.
The rest of the show is quite bold too, so let's look around.
No, the rest will look good. Yeah, let's lead us on. So Alex, so we've come into the main room, and this is works by Serpa, who I've seen works by before.
She was in the amalgamation show here, sort of. After we've left this sort of vibrant lit sort of artwork entrance hallway, the first few works here are now very organic. And so a surface piece here, you have these sort of print on perspex that's then been reworked with sort of paint and resin. And the beautiful things with sort of the different sort of details and textures she gets from the prints, and then sort of the vibrance of sort of the resin finish set against these sort of rich colours. Yeah,
they're fascinatingly layered because you can look at them and they actually go quite far back in, don't they? Yep. Which must be the perspex somehow. But then on that you've got that is printed on the perspex, or is that printed
maybe underneath the perspex?
Underneath on like a transparent.
Yeah, I think so. Previously she would use the resin to set the pieces within, but now she's using perspex. That sort of makes it sort of a more of another layer for her to play with.
It's really cool actually. I like this one down here. That sort of dark, coloured one.
And then sort of the light coming from the backgrounds.
It's very nice colours actually. Interesting. Good stuff. Right.
Two pieces by reading. And sort of again, she's previously sort of shown here, and these sort of very organic with sort of your oyster shells. But she also sort of writes poetry and sort of links stories to sort of her pieces, and below down here, sort of the structure underneath the shells reminds me of coral, and you've got this little sort of eyeball that kind of reminds me of sort of when you go on holiday in sort of Greece and Turkey, and they have all of those sort of evil eyes sort of.
Yeah, I know there's evil eyes. Actually, it's kind of the eye is just really bizarre, in all honesty. It's really cool. It just kind of throws you a bit. Yeah. What's the bottom of it made from?
It's always some different sort of foams that have been set within, sort of like silicone and sort of other sort of material paste and so on. Sort of.
And I guess the point is the light reflecting off the shells, really, isn't it?
Yes, of course. That's the connection for this show here. Sort of, and then sort of like next along we have a piece by Paul Bonamini. And so this is suddenly sort of, it's quite like the shells with its fractured sort of composition, but then also it's a hard metal, and sort of quite a nice connection between them.
Oh, it's interesting actually, because you've got the light reflecting off the shell, then you've got the light reflecting off, is that mirror or just metal?
It's polished steel.
It's polished steel. And then he's also got a few eyeballs.
He does, another connection over here. So those are actually magnets. And sort of,
they're essentially magnets? Yeah. So are they just attached?
And just very strong magnets, it turns out. So,
That's really cool. I like them. Oh, actually, also I hadn't noticed you get lovely different colours on the.
Well, I think that's it's picking up from Fiona's window piece, and so sort of as the show goes along, Fiona's piece seems to interact with practically every single work.
And our bodies as we move through.
Well, so we can have a look at it now. So here, she's done 3 window panels.
Yeah.
And this is sort of the second time she's done one of these installations here. For this one, she's actually used a metallic film as well as the transparent vinyl, and so this does actually reflect in the middle when you look out into it. But then, of course, no light goes through it, so on the ground, that's just a solid shadow.
Oh, I see. So the metallic bit. You can see through it?
You can see through the vinyl, but you can't see through the metallic elements because it blocks all the light. It's just a solid film that's gone over the window.
How weird. Yeah. So that's quite freaky. So wait, so that's the grey bit? Is that the metallic?
The silverish bit,
So we can see out of it, but the light can't come through?
Well, that's just a solid material, so
that's really interesting.
Yeah. And then between both our windows, you have Sumi Ferreira, and I've been loving sort of the colour connections throughout in this show, and So it's brilliant. So Sumi's prints are quite architectural, but also for this particular piece, she's made all of these glass balls that actually have prints within them. But then also, as the viewer passes across them, it reflects the black beams of the gallery, which is quite nicely ties in with these shelves that they're on.
That's really weird, in a good way. I mean, because they're like lever arch files, aren't they? Part of it. And then
It's quite sort of her using found materials. So actually do have these clips and folders, and she's really sort of making something very mundane into a beautiful artwork. So.
Is that her kind of?
She's definitely a printmaker, but she also pushes her practice and sort of.
It's really interesting, actually. The crazy they're prints inside the.
Yeah, so they're actually in.
I see. You can work out how they're in. Yeah.
Sort of carefully sort of positioned circular prints within it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then behind us we have another glass piece by Michael Petrie, so up here, and so sort of. He's has worked exhibited at the V&A before, Kew Gardens, and it was brilliant getting involved in the show. It's a stunning piece that again interacts with the architecture of the building and catches the light.
That's really strange. I hadn't noticed actually. You got that green inside the white glass, haven't you?
I think potentially that's that type of glass, like a uranium glass, that has that sort of that green colour to it. So
yeah, they're really weird. Are the shapes meant to reference anything?
Sort of in the title, so it is a sort of twist, or sort of is part of it. But I guess there is that sort of a gesturalness to it. But then sort of glass. I've seen several other works by him that he pushes it in many different directions, from having sort of poured glass on the floor to hundreds of balls coming down from the ceiling.
Well, it's weird. It's got almost a sense of drawing to it, or almost like a pipe or a beer. Yeah. Weird beer glass.
When they were being installed, and also if you have the gallery doors open, then they actually rotate a bit and catch light more. And
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Then, let's keep on going.
Here is a stonework by Alexandra Harley, and so it's like slate space, carved figure, and then she's finished the piece with this mirror paint, and
So she's kind of given it its own shadow now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But then this is probably the only shadow that actually reflects.
That's quite funny, isn't it? It's a reflecting shadow. That's really weird. Actually, because then you can actually see the shadow of the thing on the reflecting bit, which is kind of freaky.
Of course, yeah.
And it's actually got rather lovely shadows on itself.
It's beautiful,
what's it made of?
I'm not actually. I need to double check. But it's brilliant. So all these fossilised marks within the stones.
So she's carved it, actually.
She has, yes. Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that. It's nice.
And then behind, we've got a nice connection through to Paul Tetlenberger's Petrie piece. And so here he's used mirrors set against prints and frames, so the piece literally does disappear into the wall.
That's really weird, actually, because it looks like it does just go into the wall.
Yeah, wonderful. And again, in this area, it's all organic again, so it's mirroring Serpers, with these pear trees and but then also he's got glasses being reflected and wine glasses, and so he's playing on the idea of reflections these mirrors.
Oh yeah, he's playing on they're really weird things, actually, because I keep wanting to work out what they're doing. They're really odd. Yeah, so you've got to have the mirror here, or it wouldn't work, haven't you?
Yeah, completely, yeah. And as you view them from different angles,
because they're really quite seductive. A strange way. Very cool. Okay, Alex, let's move over to this spot over here.
So another organic piece, and so this is Susan Gunn, and so this actually is absorbing light, and it's a natural pigments and organic gesso.
That's really weird. What's it made of? It's
pigments and gesso, but it's all organic.
It's got a sort of vibe of like volcanic ash or something.
Yeah, completely.
And a weird sort. What is that? Is that canvas?
It's on linen, but there's also
it's linen, but the linen's. But the linen's got its own little texture of mini crisscrosses.
Intriguing.
Intriguing.
But wonderful pieces, and sort of you can imagine while she's making it, sort of like it's again the sort of, I don't know, who knows how much control she has over sort of the process, or is it just the materials, the way they personally react, and sort of.
Yeah, it's got a really weird. It's got a sort of history feeling to it, like Pompeii ripped pieces.
Yeah.
Or something,
Or sort of maybe a Kiefer painting, or sort of.
No, yeah, that kind of thing.
So working with the materials.
Nice.
And
then we're moving on to.
Yeah,
would you call yours? Oh, yours.
As I said, yeah.
Or would you say they're organic? Or?
No, I don't know. Sort of, if I guess if objects in space are organic, which I guess they are, sort of like.
Objects in space, like spaceships.
But yeah, so yeah, recent Nebula series pieces, sort of, and so the latest development is this change of structure, which is a lot more solid, but I do like the original sort of triangle structure because it has that floaty feel, and so in this show I've always positioned the sort of earlier structure above these as if it is disappearing off sort of in this gaseous space.
I like these. I like these more and more. They're kind of, and these ones especially, they're more layered, and I like on here you've poured in some kind of glittery thing, but it's still transparent. This section, isn't it? So you can actually see through into.
Yeah, sort of. Previously, it was always a shame to lose this sort of section, sort of, and so that's even more apparent on the pieces upstairs, sort of. But yeah, no, it's great with that sort of ghostly feel here with the structure underneath.
Oh, that's really nice. Actually, I haven't seen that because that's got a very light green to it underneath, over the top rather. But that's actually really cool. That transparent vibe. Intriguing. Intriguing to look at it in relation to your piece from way back in the day.
Yeah, no, completely, yeah, sort of, it's amazing how much works can change over a decade.
A decade is quite quick, actually.
Well, even just this year, I've taken myself out the comfort zone and so on. And so, next to it, I have another piece by Paul Bonamini.
Oh, right.
And yes, Paul as well, so it's a sort of some staircase that then disappears off into this dark void.
Oh, wow.
And it's sort of such sort of well-made high-end materials with sort of the perspex, the polished steel.
So it's polished steel. Wait, and the polished steel changes colour as it goes down, does it? Does it get darker, or is that just...
That's Fiona's window piece, sort of again, sort of the light that's coming up, you see on the floor here, as the sun lights up, so...
I get the feeling as well, it's almost like there's less light gets to these ones down here. They appear to be darker.
Yeah.
And you can see it, reflection
through too, yeah.
That's actually quite freaky.
One thing that was brilliant was actually only sort of half an hour or so ago, when the window was coming directly onto it, it then projects a little halo onto the wall from the perspex at the top. So it's been a lot of fun photographing this exhibition. So.
It's got a really kind of cool vibe in that way. Yeah. And let's move on to this one, which has got a bit of wild... So
this is Alison Goodyear, and so sort of she works an awful lot in virtual reality painting. And so sort of this is a piece from a few years ago where she'd taken a still from one of her virtual reality pieces, then got it printed onto silk, and then reworked it with ultraviolet paints. And so as you rake this torch across it, the piece sort of lights up. Amazingly well created, and sort of it must have taken hours with a very fine paintbrush.
Yeah, it's an intriguing idea to use the ultraviolet and allow people. It's almost like people are painting with the light as they walk around.
Completely, yeah. Sort of, it's always a nice surprise for everyone when they're looking around the show.
Yeah, it's really cool, exciting. And that takes us on to, this has got a similar kind of vibe.
So Simon Pike, so he was in our show here, Edge to Edge, and sort of, I don't know, after sort of seeing his works, I thought it would be ideal to include him in this show too.
Yeah, this has got a real ziggy-zaggy vibe on your eyeballs, this one. It's kind of freaky, actually. It's kind of cool. I like it. Also, it's got a kind of lighter, more neon-y thing like Chabelle's piece.
Again, so it's vibrant colours, but also sort of the mediums that he's using, sort of, and then again using sort of a vinyl cutter allows him to go the extra mile with these structures and sort of do something that would be impossible by hand.
Maybe we should do a show just on neon.
Yeah, no, it would be fun. So,
Right. So where leads us on?
Here we have Anna sort of Leitradol, and so sort of these pieces are called Uras Major and Minor, and so that's sort of a constellation in the northern sky. And so what she's done is she's made these sort of steel structures and then suspended these copper paintings from them. And it's great how sort of they've been positioned so sort of they reflect each other. And but then also on the painted sides, you still have these little bits of copper that have been left untouched.
Yeah, no, they're cool. It's especially nice when that one reflects in this, and they sort of do that, and you've got the little reflected bits in there. So the structures, I guess, is also part of it. These sort of the rigid bit. Oh, actually, I hadn't noticed there's copper on the floor as well.
Yeah, sort of. It's interesting that contrast between sort of these straight line structures set against something very sort of curvaceous. These pieces were exhibited at the Cypriot Embassy earlier in the year. And
very cool.
Someone mentioned yesterday that she wondered whether maybe sort of the structure is something of like this, sort of the island of Cyprus.
Oh, right, very nice. Alex, yeah, so moving on from that, we get to this piece.
So, a piece by Charlie Peters, and so sort of wonderful sort of painting, sort of, so it's a very sort of gestural background, and then she's sort of airbrushed and sprayed and sort of painted sort of all these mixture of elements onto the piece.
Nice. So, kind of mixed media materials, is it?
So I think it's acrylic, but sort of then obviously with sort of airbrushing, you have to add mediums. And no, she's an expert when it comes to sort of masking. And she has these sort of wonderful videos on her Instagram where she literally shows everyone how it's made, and it's very refreshing for an artist to show the process.
Yeah, no, it's really, really cool. So I think you were saying when she does these like little balls, the whole thing is
Cupping car mask. So sort of it's absolutely impossible for sort of there to be any sprays of paint the way she doesn't want there to be.
What is car mask?
So imagine if you're having your car repainted, it's sort of a very thin plastic that you then put over the car, but you can also sort of cut into it. And she's an expert on sort of different masking tapes and sort of spray paints.
That's very cool. I like the sort of computer graphic-y bits interfering with the other kind of gestural marks.
Yeah, no, it reminds me of sort of social media with these fire flames and sort of.
No, it's really cool, and that leads us on to
Christian Woods. So here we have this sort of circle of glass squares. And as the light hits them, it then refracts and sort of creates this rainbow of different colours that changes as you walk past.
Oh, it's actually rather beautiful in this piece in real life.
Yeah, stunning.
It's kind of quite mesmerising, and it's quite calm. It's kind of sort of feels quite meditative and simple, but actually rather beautiful as well. And it's actually changed. The light must have changed the way it hits it, because the little shapes popping out are bigger than they were half an hour ago.
I completely, Again, we're very lucky today that the sun's out, and so we're getting to really see the show and its full potential.
It's weird because it's got a sculptural element to it, but it's also got a because I always like those Gunther nail paintings. But I mean, it's obviously not like a nail painting, but it's.
But one thing
it's very cool.
I know, like earlier we were discussing and saying sort of, I think sort of the colours that we were seeing were from sort of the interaction with Fiona's pieces. Where in this, they're actually at the bottom of each square of glass. They've painted colours, and so the colours you're seeing are chosen by the artist.
That's intriguing, actually. That's really clever, that piece. And that rolls us back over to, I think, this side.
And so then Fiona, so this is our colour wheel pieces. And there's two of them in the show. So when I was envisioning sort of like having a 2D work of hers here, these pieces came to mind because I imagined them like a sort of a rainbow of colours and sort of the light from a rainbow. And also sort of the curve, and so these are watercolour, and it's amazing how she's got this spiral of sort of brush strokes.
Yeah, I like it. I like the darker wood. Yes, so some of these are just one stroke spinning around, aren't they?
Exactly, yeah.
And then some, I can't tell if these have come back on the top, but maybe not.
I think it's probably more sort of just the paint running out from the brush stroke, sort of.
It's interesting.
And so sort of obviously it's very thick and then just goes round and round until then there's none left.
Yeah, I like it. I like the I like the sort of saturated and non-saturated bits inside it. It's kind of cool.
It's loose, but then it's also quite controlled too. So.
Yeah, it is totally. And that leads us on to this one,
Christina Augustine. So she's a Danish artist, and so imagine these as being like electric Rothkos, and so there must be some hidden computer inside, and it does literally sort of like go through an amazing array of colours.
It's intriguing actually. It's an electric Rothko, but for a moment it's just looking like a sort of misty, weird sort of Icelandic landscape.
Yep.
And then it shifts back into that sort of Rothko vibe. It's actually really cool. Also looks like it's got a depth to it, but it can't do.
No, well, yeah, it's wonderful. Sort of, and again, it's like I saw previously. Sort of, she had an orange piece of these that sort of you photographed, I think, and you got that amazing reflection sort of from those pieces there.
As she's set it up, you can't change the speed yourself or anything?
No. So they're all just set up. You just plug them in and turn them on. That's it. Sort of. But yeah, amazingly vibrant, and so I was hoping to do a bit of an interaction with Anna's, and so that's why I positioned it here.
No, it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah. It's interesting to think that if you made that, you would have to decide what speed it's going to change at, wouldn't you? And you must then be obsessed with having to make different ones that change at different colour speeds, I'd have thought.
Yeah, well, I guess so. All part of a process, and sort of, and I've seen her do sort of more sort of works on paper and stuff, and it's interesting seeing that connection. I guess all the works on papers are studies, and so it's her sort of working out sort of what kind of colour fields would work together.
So they're like watercolory versions of states of this in a way.
Yeah, but she's also done sort of public projects where sort of she's taken over some kind of, I don't know, like telephone box, but turned it into one of these. And
oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Right, so I think it's time to head on to the Atrium vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, so we'll go to the AV room.
Let's go to the AV room.
There's 2 AV rooms in the show.
Okay.
So the first one's by Susan Hare, and I'll show you that now.
Okay, let's go for it. Okay, Alex, so we're in AV room 1.
Yep, so work by Susan Hare, and so she actually is my mother, sort of.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was sort of asking sort of at what point, or was wondering when I was going to invite her to be in an exhibition.
She was the president of the London group, wasn't she?
She was, yes. So she's now recently stepped down, and so now has had more time to sort of focus on her own practice again, which I'm sure she'll enjoy. And yeah, originally when I invited her, I had envisioned these sort of more installational physical pieces that she'd made of sort of fishing wire and smashed CDs and found objects, but it turns out that wasn't available. But then she did propose this video, and yeah, no, I couldn't be happy with it. And it's a very atmospheric part of the show. Sort of.
No, I really like the video. It's that's quite interesting. I haven't seen that bit yet.
Yeah.
So that's like smashed CDs hanging on fishing wire.
And then sort of from the opening scenes or the original material she'd photographed, she's then somehow turned it into a kaleidoscope effect.
I hadn't realised it was that bit you can work out it is the CDs, can't you? And then it goes in and out of focus, and it's kind of quite. It's actually really good. Especially it looks really nice in here on the big screen on the wall.
Room, and sort of we've blacked it all out. And so also so she's always with her sort of video pieces collaborated with an American composer called sort of Stephen Dyson, and it's great to have the music alongside the video.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool actually. It does still give me a bit of a 60s psychedelia vibe.
Yeah. And so, Rob, here we are in sort of the second AV room.
Very nice, yeah. We magically teleported here.
We did, yeah. And so this is by Genetic Moo, and it's called Bog. And so the idea behind it is it's kind of like a digital reflection. And so they've done this coding on this software to teach the computer how to read the human form. Okay. And so there's a camera here that's following our movements. You can see it slightly lights up orange.
No, I can see the orange appears when you're in your
period of sort of 5 minutes or so. I think so. It is set up to point at the sofa behind us, and then so this bog will start grouping around you, and so I think so the blue comes first, and then sort of the green follows.
So is it meant to be like you're being swallowed by the bog?
I think so, yeah. So it's an interactive digital piece, and sort of it's clever of what's capable with sort of coding and computer software nowadays.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's a really strange thing. And I remember you showing me earlier when you can actually turn off the background and see the actual.
I'll show you now.
Yeah, show us now, because I think it's quite interesting when you can actually see what's. So now you can see the people in the actual room and the bog, which is weird.
Exactly, yeah. And so you can next to where I am, this orange is lighting up.
Yeah.
Sort of, I think it's focusing on you at the minute.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Yeah, it's a really freaky thing. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's nice to have interesting play on reflection.
Yeah, it's really cool. Right, let's head up to the atrium section.
Brilliant.
Medicine. All right, Alex, so we're upstairs. Give me the lowdown on this beastie.
So this is by Judith Jones, and so she does all these sort of atmospheric photographs of sort of places at night. I think the idea behind it is that sort of the viewer can interpret sort of what the story or sort of thoughts are behind it, and so it's very open-ended.
You know, it's got a nice abstract feeling to it as well. A nice yellow block and these small black blocks and blue, dark blue of the sky.
And the blue sky.
Yeah, the blue sky's amazing. But it has got a light. I mean, a light effect vibe going onto it. Do you think? Did she actually take that at night? Do you think, or in the dark?
I think so.
Intriguing.
I've sort of seen sort of other works of hers where sort of there's just one single light in a shed or something, and sort of.
Okay.
This piece here, sort of this bold field of orange is set against the blue, so it's a wonderful contrast. And I guess, the black roofs and windows is sort of that.
And that weirdly, it's difficult to say what colour that actually is. Like maybe a dark violet. I can't say.
And then
Quite
they're
intriguing.
printed on aluminium, so it has that reflective
yeah.
element to them.
That's really cool. And then moving on to another one of what's her name?
Serpent.
Yeah. Yeah, they're really cool. I love that sort of depth into them. How you can drift into those pieces.
I think she just finished this literally before the show, and sort of she's now got that extra layer of perspex, and so there is that added depth.
Yeah, no, it's got a real sort of centimetre of perspex on it, which gives a fascinating experience looking at it, and it's actually fascinating. I love the way that weird depth is there.
Yep, and
it's really cool.
Contrast between sort of pink and blues.
Nice light. Oh, and this is another one by
Anna. And there's sort of very sort of like the one on copper downstairs, but this is mounted onto ply, and very gestural painting, but sort of like the pieces downstairs. There's that little sliver of copper left.
Yeah, the little sliver of copper. What do you think the image is? Is it purely abstract, or has it got some relationship to?
I was discussing it yesterday, and sort of the person I was talking to felt it was quite figurative. I personally feel, I know with the blue at the bottom, it's kind of like landscape, but then it could easily be abstract too. Sort of,
it could be like a rock on a sort of seashore or anything. Yeah. Intriguing.
Again,
nice
to the viewers.
Yeah, I like the textural thing, which I wonder if that is helped by the copper background that leaves you.
I'm sure so. Yeah.
A bit more scrapey kind of way the paint goes on.
Yeah. Right, so I guess copper's can be ideal to paint on because it's such a smooth surface, but then also I'm sure it has its own problematics.
Or gives it, lends it that kind of look. Cool, and this is another one by.
Two more by Simon.
Nice.
Yeah. So again, it was sort of this one here was sort of downstairs. It was all just sort of very sort of smooth acrylic. When here he's got some sort of roller marks set against these sort of.
It's interesting actually. The roller marks, they're quite, as you say, they're quite textural. But then the crispness of these bits is insanity.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Sort of, and I particularly like with these two, sort of the medium that he's added to the acrylic. And so they really do glow.
Yeah, they really do glow. No, they're very cool. And then we stroll on down to another. Oh, this is interesting.
Yeah. So this another sort of colour wheel by Fiona.
But intriguingly, the paint hasn't run out as much. It's slightly different. It's thicker in some bits here.
It's nice how it is all running out in that one area.
But I think the other one was the circling leaves. These are circles on top of each other, maybe.
Yes, you must be reworking it sort of, and I decided sort of as the one was subtler down there, and there's already quite a lot going on underneath it. I thought it would be nice to allow this one a bit more space up here.
Yeah. No, looks really cool. It's interesting. Yeah. Oh, this is
piece
quite.
by Charlie.
Quite intriguing. Quite sparse in the top left-hand corner, isn't it?
Yeah, and this one is sort of kind of like radioactive splattering.
Yeah, exactly. I've turned into a lobster. But it's kind of freaky actually. Yes, so there's quite a sort of spray painty change of colour from here as well, isn't there?
So this is actually on aluminium too, so it's going to be a very smooth surface.
Intriguing.
But she's also got that gestural thick paint.
Yeah, she has got the thick paint on top of it.
And then sort of mask these sort of triangle and circles.
Well, you think if you're abducted by aliens, that might be what you see. And then after you've seen that, you'd see one of these as well. But
it's quite nice, with this grouping. Sort of again, like the hard structure here, I've actually sort of hung it so it's kind of like a straight line, and so then really is a sort of accentuating that contrast with the two above.
No, it's really nice actually. What I particularly like is the sort of almost fully transparent sections.
And so, yeah, both of these are just completely transparent with no pigment in at all. And
it's really nice because it allows those other layers to come through in a rather funky fashion, frankly. Colours on this one are lovely as well.
yeah, no, it's interesting sort of like, so when I'm making them, I try to only ever do one section at a time, and that means that then I'm not going to be reusing the same colours, and so it's always sort of, I can still make it sort of a subtle, and it's then a very sort of planned, sort of set out sort of idea instead of just going along with what's available. So,
yeah, no, it's really cool. And let's roll on to the final beast.
So the final piece on the mezzanine, so we have another one by Charlie, and so here sort of, beautifully sort of masked sort of lines, circles, and then I think potentially these are even sort of hand painted, sort of acrylic, and this sort of subtle little painted reflection beams of light.
Yeah, it's really cool actually. I like the little splash of starlight on it.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And I like those sort of weird hexagonal grids in the background. No, it's really cool. It gives a lovely vibe.
Not a lot going on.
A lot going on. So do you want to sum up your contemporary take on light?
Well, sort of, I say it's different to any other show that I put on before, sort of, and I think sort of the vibrancy and the connections throughout sort of really have created something special, sort of, and sort of it's nice how there's so many different sort of sculptural elements set against sort of video. And sort of everything from photography through to painting.
Yeah, no, I think it's got a really good variety of stuff. Sort of really interesting uses of material from Paul's sculptures to these crazy things with the folders.
Yeah.
So no, it's really cool. I think it's really good fun, and I think it's nice to think of all the different things you could do with light today. It kind of opens up the possibilities for artists.
Completely, yeah. Sort of, and it's sort of, I don't know. It'd be nice to see what artists do in the over light, so I'm sure sort of the next technological breakthrough is just around the corner. So.
Absolutely. No, it's really cool. I'm looking forward to it. It's a great show, Alex.
Great. Thank you.
Bumbuckler.